So, there's been a lot of debacle with the new time rules Konami proposed yesterday. All yesterday, everyone was in an uproar on my social media, complaining, saying how much they hate the new time rules. So much so, Konami actually retracted the rules. Now, if you guys was living under a rock like I was yesterday, the time rules pretty much the new update for the time rules pretty much happened like this. Essentially, it was kind of low key leaked. I think somebody at Konami updated it to the regional documentation for immediately, but Konami never made an official post about it. And essentially, what happened was, if you guys are in going to time, no matter who won game one or who won game two, if you guys haven't determined the winner of that game, by the time is called, you guys receive a double loss. Essentially, that's just the quick rundown of the time rules that was proposed yesterday. And with this new ruling, it was supposed to allow games to get played faster because if you guys have not played Yu-Gi-Oh in a while, if you guys stumbled across this video, Yu-Gi-Oh has become way more complicated than it has in the past 10 years or so. And on top of that, sometimes players, whether if they're new with their deck or whether if they're doing it intently to win in time, they take a long time to play the game. Like I even give my own example recently at local. Last time I went to locals, my opponent took 10 to 15 minutes on his turn. Now, I don't think my opponent that did that was actually doing it on purpose. However, that's just a prime example of the stuff a lot of duelists deal with on a consistent basis. Now, some people do this intentionally because a lot of the times, if you guys have a fast pace or normal pace game one, and then you guys go into game two and your opponent wins game one and you end up winning game two, a lot of the times you'll notice your opponent will start reading a lot of your cards. And then you're wondering, like, why did my 5 minute game one and two turn into a 30-minute game three? And then all of a sudden your opponent comes out on their turn, burn you, and just end up winning the game three when they go first and pass. They take forever comboing through every card, reading all their cards in it, even though they know what they do, and reading your card, like the old famous quote of cards in hand, cards in grave. Um, what did you just search? What do I know for knowledge? So that's a lot of annoying stuff Yu-Gi-Oh players deal with, and it causes them to lose a lot of games. Well, Konami retracted that, and they pretty much said this. Earlier today, the Duelist Advanced Regional Qualifier session season English fact was posted with an error that includes the WCS end of match procedures, which have now been revised. There are no changes to the round time or end of match procedures for this weekend OTS championships or regional qualifiers. English fact has not been corrected. The Spanish and Portuguese facts were not affected. The change to the round time and end of match applies to the upcoming World Championships in Paris, France, and our communications will be discussing it in more detail at that event. We are looking to apply these changes to all events in the future at a later date after the World Championships. Take notes. Details have not been finalized. So that's pretty much Konami trying to save their ass. I think they soft leaked this just to see if anybody in the community catches it, and somebody did, and it went viral on social media, at least in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. And this is my opinion on that, because a lot of the pro players are saying, "Oh, this is kind of great. It's gonna allow people to stop, stalling out to win the time." And I 100% agree with that. Like I'm in the middle because on one end, I definitely understand about how players take all freaking day, once again, whether if it's intentional or not, to make a move, and then you end up losing in time because of it. Then on the other end, sometimes players might just be learning their deck. You might be at locals or regionals. A lot of people pick up decks right before an event and try to learn it on the fly. Now, whether that's right or wrong, leave that for up. I'm gonna leave that up for you guys to discuss in the comments because who am I to tell people what to do with their money and what to bring into an event? However, I will say it's not proper Yu-Gi-Oh etiquette. Like when I personally play, I try to be conscious of the time a lot. Have I won in time before? Yes. Did I feel good about it? No. But at the same time, have I felt like people I've played against locally, regionally, YCS, even at Nats, played slow on purpose to try to get a easy dub? Yeah, I have felt that way, and I acted accordingly. So I get the frustration behind it the community had about it, and I definitely understand the uproar because everyone already knew. Even though, because I think the biggest community issue was the double loss, because people were like, so if I win game one, and game one was like 35 minutes, which can happen in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, depending on how mid both of you and your opponent drew. That means you guys have to pretty much rush through game two and three, even if you get to game three. If your opponent wanted to be an asshole and play extremely slow, he could be like, okay, since you beat me game one, I'm probably gonna lose anyway. We both about to lose, and that is the thing that got people in an uproar. Now, Konami's update was good, was with good intent. I truly believe that because I don't think they would make a rule to want to essentially piss people off. I don't think Konami is in the business of wanting to make people mad, despite all the hate and criticism I get them. I think the rule was made with good intentions because if you believe, like, if you really want to look at it, like a lot of judges, I talk to judges at events all the time. They know what be going on. Like a lot of times, judges come to the table like, really, dude, can you stop slow playing? They'll literally, I've literally seen judges just walk past the table, watch a game, don't even know the players, and tell one of the players, "Hey, can you speed it up? You've been taking a long time with that turn." It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens a lot. And the community is sick of it. The community are sick of people playing slow. They don't care if you just learned your deck. The community is really tired of it. And a lot of people, like myself included, get tired of getting sacked out of wins because my opponent wants to take all day making a move. And it can kind of hurt you because I don't know if you're doing it on purpose. And I feel like, as a player who has been playing this game for 20 years since I was a kid, I have noticed a big uptick in people slow playing ever since Konami revised the time rules back in like 2017. For you guys that just started playing Yu-Gi-Oh within the past 5 years or so, the old time rules was this: when time was called around, you got three more turns left. Turn zero. So whoever turn it was turn zero, and then next turn is one, two, and three. So depending on who field it was on when time got called, or whoever turn it was when time got called, they pretty much had a huge advantage because they would typically get the last turn if they didn't win right away. I felt that was fair, and because with three more turns, it kind of allowed you and your opponent to grind out a last little bit of battling to see who would really win the duel. And I never really had an issue with that because 9 times out of 10, if you were gonna lose, you're gonna lose. I really hate when time is about to get called and I gotta just scramble to searching through my deck, and I have to call battle phase damn near while as I'm plopping my cards on the field just for I won't get losing time because it causes me to make mistakes. Like at YCS Houston, I believe. I had a game that me and my opponent had a really good game. This was just a mono equal playing field type of game. We unfortunately was going to the time, and I was supposed to win that duel, but because we were about to go into time, I started rushing my plays. I made a big mistake that caused me to miscalculate and not be able to OTK my opponent on that turn and try to win before the clock come out. And it really bothers me because it made me think, like, how good would I have done in that event if I didn't make the mistake thanks to the crappy time rules? Like I said, back in the day, these time rules didn't exist. And the reason why Konami implemented the time rules because, unfortunately, back then, with the growth of Yu-Gi-Oh, with the amount of players that have been playing at these Yu-Gi-Oh events, some tournaments took forever. I still remember Nationals 2016. I was there in Nashville, Tennessee. Day one didn't end till like 2 in the morning. And I can only imagine Konami probably had to pay the convention center extra fees to keep the doors open, and so they could pay the staff in order to not have players get screwed out of their rounds and start day one on the following day. So I'm pretty sure it's not financially feasible to have players doing the 0, 1, 2, 3 at big events, and even at locals. Because sometimes if you got 0, 1, 2, 3, you might go 40 minutes after time got called. And a lot of these car shops, they have closing times, they have business hours, they have families. Nobody wants to be in a car shop all day long. So the time rules, after it's been applied for the past few years, everyone's gotten used to it, and we all understand how bad it is. However, with that being said, we all still kind of hate it because it's a slippery slope of damn if you do, damn if you don't. Do you focus more on the player or the business? Me personally, I would all be at this point. I'm so kind of checked out of Yu-Gi-Oh with a lot of shit they do. I'm actually not that mad at Japan for doing the 1v1 tournaments where you don't get a side deck, you don't get to play game two and three, you just get one game. Just go sit down, play the game. If you win, you go to round two. If not, you're out. And that way things will go a lot faster. But obviously, that'll turn a lot of players off. I'm conscious of that. Please, Konami, if you're listening, make that a side event for YCS. I would love to play a tournament side event rather that's just one game instead of going into game two and three. I think that'll implement more unique deck building and or make the format probably be a little bit more toxic. But regardless, man, Konami's trying to do good, and I think they're honestly trying to at least fix player communication because obviously they've been trying, at least on the North American side. I don't know if they had to get approved from Japan. However, with that being said, like the community, honestly, I think they just need to calm down just a little bit. But I understand too. Like Konami been fumbling a lot with the Yu-Gi-Oh, and a lot of people are frustrated with the way they've been handling the property. But once again, I'm all for people saying, "Hey, we don't like the time rules. These will be easily abused by petty motherfuckers who get mad because they lose game one. They know they can't beat the player, so they'll try to just this kind of like screw people out of wins." But a lot of the pro players, once again, they were all happy with it. They were saying, "Hey, this is good. We don't got to deal with slow players because ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of people don't want to take a double loss. You had to really find a real petty mother effort to want to bring somebody to a double loss, but it will happen. People will get tilted, and I definitely think that will lead to potential fights. If I'm being honest, I can only imagine some people losing to a slow player that played into time after they lost game one, and get tilted because they go into time. Also, too, the old time rules allowed players Konami gave us an extra 5 minutes on the clock, which that helps, So we go from 40 because originally it used to be 40 minutes, then 45 minutes. Now we're on to 50 minutes. So Yu-Gi-Oh games are lasting longer. They're not lasting shorter. Now the last thing I wanted to talk about with this is one thing in the community that kind of annoyed me just a little bit. People are saying, well, if you guys knew your opponent was slow playing, why didn't you call the judge? Now here's the thing. Here is the mother effing thing. I get that. If you think your opponent's slow playing, you should call a judge. But let's be real. How often can you really prove slow playing? I've seen people call judges at regionals and at YCSs for potential slow playing. And you know what the judge said? Well, he needs time to think. He has time to think. And even a lot of judges kind of don't really know what to do in a scenario because they weren't there when the slow play was happening. Then they got to it's really a lot of he say versus she say. So it's kind of hard to prove that your opponent's intentionally slow playing. Now, obviously, if you're on camera, like on a live stream, that's different. However, when you're in the Swiss tables not being filmed, some people just naturally play slow, and some people like to take their time. Even if they're making plays, they could still take their time. Can you really say that's slow playing? I don't think so because the way the rules are currently going on right now, as long as you're making a movement and actually doing plays, you're not slow playing. Slow playing technically is when your opponent's like cards in hand, cards in grade, card in field, and reading everything 1,001 times over. That's considered slow playing. But even then, if they have an actual play to make, is it really slow playing? So I think that's the reason why people don't want to call the judge because it's more of a feeling. And you really can't call judges based on feelings. You got to have facts. And also, too, a lot of people like myself, we just don't feel like arguing with people. Like, I've had instances where I've been in tournaments where me and my opponent both took our sweet time playing, but all of a sudden they tell me, "Can you speed it up?" I'm like, no. Don't tell me to F and speed it up when you took all day playing your turn. I'm gonna take my time just like you do. And that causes conflict because on one end, I play fast, you play fast, but because I think for 2 seconds I'm slow playing, get the F out of here. That's bull. And vice versa. Like sometimes I might be not want to lose in time, but I'm also conscious, okay, where he's actually making a move, it's just he's thinking. So people get time to think and you know, really calling somebody else a slow playing is really a slippery slope because you really can't prove that they're slow playing. Like I even had another instance where I almost potentially could have gotten into a fight at locals like 2 years ago because some guy accused me of trying to stall him in time. And it was just like, dude, I'm not trying to stall you in time. I like ask anybody in this shop. I'm not a known cheater, so calm that shit down. It's just if I have a play to make, I have a play to make. I'm really deciding on what I want to do. If I want to power shuffle my deck because I'm not playing attention to the clock, I can do that. So that's neither here or there, man. So that's just an example of like little petty things that can happen when timers get called. And once again, I think that's the reason why people don't call judges because you really can't prove if someone's slow playing and a judge coming over is this going on he say versus she say. I think personally, if you guys really want to get down to it, you should call the judge, but at the same time, you got to have like infinite proof on what's going on. But like I said, once again, that's a slippery slope because you can't really prove it. So anyway, man, let me know what you guys think about this topic in the conversation down below. Did you guys like the new proposed time rules? Let me know. Are you guys cool with losing and getting a double loss? I really want to hear from you guys. And also, while you guys are here, if you guys made it to the end of the video, feel free to check out my channel sponsor in the description down below. TradingCardMint.com for 7% off all your Yu-Gi-Oh needs, and Imperium Duels for 10% off. And join the Discord. We got about 51 people in the Discord right now. We're building a strong community. So come over and join and have some good time, man. All right, it's your boy Rogue, and I'm signing out. Peace. See you guys in the next video.